raise $355 million a year for homeless services. Well, attention job seekers, hundreds of positions to help those who are homeless have recently opened up. Gil Reyes reports on a first-of-its-kind job fair, with many more to come thanks to voter approval.
These job seekers gathered at City Hall want careers tackling the worst problem facing Los Angeles today, homelessness.
I was homeless at the age of 14. My mother was murdered on Christmas Eve 16 years ago. I wasn't accepted in my family due to my sexual orientation, so I just went out and decided to sleep on the streets.
Today we're happy to report Charisse Ortega is no longer homeless or jobless. This is her at work with the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. She now gets paid to meet people on the street and connect them with housing and services. And more jobs like these have opened up to help the growing number of unsheltered people in LA County.
People who have experienced homelessness, been down on their luck, who need a helping hand up. And that's what we're here to do today.
South LA Councilmember Curran Price here to support the city's first ever homeless services provider job fair. Some 30 employers are looking to fill 900 positions, jobs like social workers, outreach directors, case managers, and accountants. Many of these opportunities opened up with the passage of Measure H, the voter-approved tax to fund more services for the homeless. Mayor Eric Garcetti is also at the hiring event to support.
So the City of Los Angeles will continue doing this job fair every quarter until every position is filled. So tell your friends, come back if you don't get that job that you wanted today.
And land a career helping others. I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
At last count, the number of homeless people in LA County has surged 23% since the previous year. Measure H for homeless services and Measure HHH for homeless housing aim to reduce that number. Well, Pershing Square is about to get a lot more homey and inviting, thanks to a nonprofit group called Pershing Square Renew. Here's Anna Marcos to show us what it's all about.
Pershing Square is about to get a new sparkle as city leaders and designers work to give the park a major makeover with a project called Pershing Square Renew.
We have many more people coming to live downtown. We have many more visitors coming to downtown. We have people with families in downtown. So we want this place to be that open space town square that downtown Los Angeles deserves.
LA city leaders held a competition in 2015 asking for designs with a concept around radical flatness, the idea of leveling the entire park so it will be flat with a sidewalk. The winning design team has now developed its project and is revealing the details to the public for the first time.
We've migrated that to radical openness. It's really important for people to be able to see inside the park.
These days, it's still a pretty great space, but it's a lot of concrete and a lot of walls. And I think both the concrete and the walls need to sort of be able to move aside to have more of a park-like feel here in the square.
I'm very excited about what's the environment on Olive Street that'll be created with the historic Biltmore and all of the great activity on Olive, and then to have the shade structure on that side of the street, really creating a dynamic block, a pedestrian block.
Other changes will include adding trees, greenery, and a new pergola, an outside structure for shade. Residents even got to give their own input on what they would like to see in the park. The new Pershing Square could reopen for business sometime in 2018. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Former LA gang members are in for a surprise: free computers to help improve their lives. Gil Reyes reports from the city's latest PC giveaway.
3080, okay? The young people gathered behind the counter at Chinatown's Homeboy Industries and Homegirl Diner are serving up much more than just breakfast.
Homeboys has helped me get my son back. It's helped me realize who I am as a person. It's helped me to love myself so I can love my son and be a father, help me go to school.
Well, Homeboy's been around for 30 years, started by Father Greg Boyle. And what we do is we help out gang members and convicted felons, people who've been in prison and juvenile camps, re-entry into society.
Helping these workers, too, are 50 free refurbished computers. Workers get in line to receive them thanks to the city's Our Cycle LA program. Our Cycle takes old city department office computers and repairs them for people in need. The idea comes from City Council President Herb Wesson. the city's information technology agency, and their partners.
When you're looking at people who are coming out of gang life, people who are coming even out of jail, job skills, knowledge that could be accessed through the internet is extremely important.
For job searching, online courses for better careers, and so much more.
Most of the members of the council, especially somebody like myself, I come from the same environment that they came from. And so, as I've been blessed, I think it's important that we in government do what we can to bless the people we represent.
The computers come with 3 free years of internet. The city hired the nonprofit group Human IT to upgrade the city's old PCs with the latest Windows 10 software.
This is the first time that my mom has actually been able to participate in a distribution because she currently lives just outside Detroit, so this is really special for me. And then second, this is our first ever surprise giveaway.
A surprise too for Nicole Cordero, a single mother of 6 working to turn her life around. She says a home computer will help.
I'm not going to give up on my children. I've let them down in the past, and this coming to Homeboys has changed my life.
I feel like it's already preparing me for college because at the end of the day, like, we all know that technology is only advancing, so I need to get with the program.
Over the past 3 years, the city's Our Cycle giveaway program has given away more than 3,100 computers to people who need them most, and more computers are on the way for 2018. Reporting outside Homeboy Industries, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
City Council President Herb Wesson says his goal is to have every person in the city in need of a computer to have one. Well, sometimes just a few little changes can make a big impact. Rasha Goel has more on how the community recently came together to make Skid Row residents a bit more comfortable.
These new colored benches are the latest additions to Gladys Park and San Julian Park in Skid Row. Those living in the area say they were much needed.
There already were park benches here, but they were kind of old and worn down. And the type of design it was like pretty hard on the buttocks, if you know what I mean. And so there's a better design.
While the benches had been provided, there wasn't enough funding for the installation. Thanks to community members from Skid Row, Council District 14, the Department of Recreation and Parks, the Mayor's Office Homeless Liaison, and private partners, over 15 new benches were installed.
We're just committed to trying to enhance this community as much as we can. It's a big endeavor, especially in Skid Row, but this park is a place that is for fun and recreation and safety, and it's here as a community asset.
When they see the Park and Recs is working for the benefits of the homeless community, that makes others want to get involved.
Officials say this effort is part of bringing the community together and providing the same resources to all residents.
We want to make sure that they have the opportunity to have pride and ownership of what we do here. That way they help us with the maintenance and the programming.
This is the first of many changes that will be seen at the park. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Other changes include refurbishing the basketball court and setting up a bathroom to replace portable toilets. While hundreds of native-loving Californians took in a weekend of drumming and dancing as the 34th annual American Indian Powwow kicked off at Cal State Northridge. And Marcos takes us there.
It was something of an equal opportunity powwow. Everyone welcome to try on their powwow dance moves. And it didn't seem to matter what clothes you wore or what shape you were in, what your face looked like, or what your age was.
The powwow mostly is the dancing. That's really what the powwow is a kind of a celebration, a kind of social gathering.
I hadn't been to a powwow in decades, so I thought, hey, I'll go check it out.
This was the Cal State Northridge 34th Annual Powwow, put on by the American Indian Student Association and the school's American Indian Studies program.
We want that awareness spread out there about the American Indian culture, so having people come in, learn some things, it's always good.
My sorority sister is Native American, so this is part of our diversity event.
And the Native American themed flyers, all hand-drawn.
You'll see on the arm it has resilience, so that's being able to withstand cultural genocide and just genocide in general for the American Indian peoples. And then on the tail, the bushel, it says resistance.
Okay, so you got a little symbolism in the mix. You could also get a little food and retail therapy, dream catchers, clothing, Indian art, Indian fry bread, and Indian jewelry, all up for a little bartering. A way to fire up the modern economic engine while honoring ancestral roots. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
About 300 people attended the celebration. Well, LAUSD students who don't have internet access at home are getting the chance to play fair on the road to success. Rasha Goel has more on how one of the largest phone companies is helping students stay connected when it comes to schoolwork.
You all are the first big school in the city of LA to get the hotspot, to have free internet service. This little gadget right here will provide you internet service for the rest of your high school years, okay?
Students at Garfield High School were the first to experience Sprint's 1 Million project, which connects 9,000 Los Angeles high school students with free devices and free wireless service. This partnership with the LA Unified School District aims to help eliminate the homework gap by providing internet to those who don't have it at home.
For any student to lack the tools needed to achieve puts that student at risk. None of you are at risk now of technology because this is yet another tool in your hands provided by Sprint so that you can achieve.
Students will receive either a free smartphone, tablet, or hotspot device and 3 gigs of high-speed LTE data per month for up to 4 years while they're in high school.
That it will be easier for us to do our homeworks, our assignments, and keeping track with our grades.
Officials say 75% of America's high school teachers assign homework that requires getting online. Yet there are 5 million families without internet connections at home.
At my house, I don't have a computer or really internet access, so I gotta wake up really early to go to a library or stay at school super late to finish my work. And it's a real pain, especially since college apps are coming up. I feel very excited. I'm getting a Chromebook and a hotspot because I don't have to stay at school so late.
This is the first year of the initiative. The goal? To connect 1 million students throughout the United States over the next 5 years. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Students also received a backpack, earpods, and Chromebook from the district. New year and new marijuana laws. City officials want to make sure you know the new regulations. The first Prop HHH-funded housing development breaks ground, and how to safely recycle your Christmas tree. All these stories in City Beat. Although recreational marijuana is now legal in California, Los Angeles officials said there are still some final steps required before sales will be allowed in the city. And they also warned that the use of the drug comes with significant restrictions and rules. Cannabis Regulation officials said that applications from existing medical marijuana businesses will be processed first, followed by other applications. The initial wave of shops that open for recreational sales will be doing so under a temporary license, while the city fully processes their applications and does all the necessary background checks. Meanwhile, LAPD will be making sure all marijuana regulations are followed.
We'll pay close attention to the use of marijuana in a vehicle, to a person driving impaired, to the person selling or furnishing marijuana to a minor. Those are all illegal actions, and the department will take aggressive action in enforcing the law.
City officials broke ground on Phase 2 of Path Metro Villas, the first permanent supportive housing complex financed by Proposition HHH, the voter-approved mandate that will help the city build 10,000 units of housing for Angelenos who are homeless over the next decade. The development is located in Council District 13 at 340 North Madison Avenue in LA. Prop HHH authorizes the city to issue up to $1.2 billion for the construction of permanent supportive housing and facilities. Path Metro Villas is expected to open in the spring of 2019 and will offer 187 affordable and permanent supportive apartments and 88 interim housing beds with programs focused around health, employment, housing placement, and veteran services. Well, it's time to recycle that Christmas tree, and city leaders want to make sure you do it safely. LA Sanitation and other city leaders demonstrated how to properly recycle Christmas trees and provided important fire safety tips at the East Valley Sanitation District Yard in Sun Valley. This annual Christmas tree recycling program, which is run by LA Sanitation, recycles up to 100,000 trees annually. These trees, which otherwise would have ended up in a landfill, are turned into mulch and compost to be used by residents for gardening and city staff for landscaping. You can either cut the tree in pieces and place them into the green bin, or if your tree is too big to cut, just put it curbside next to your bin on collection day.
It's very dangerous to keep at home. We just want to make sure that the public knows where to take your Christmas tree, how to recycle it, and we're happy to take it off your hands.
For a complete list of these locations, visit lacitysan.org. The Wonder Woman of Council District 6 recently gave children a gift to enhance their super reading powers. Rasha Goel explains.
My secret identity lets me live a normal...
10-year-old Alina Lopez from Noble Avenue Elementary School was anything but shy when she volunteered herself to read in front of a room full of students. Reading is something that excites her, and she knows will help her in the future.
I enjoy reading because reading helps me learn more about the world.
Alina was among the many kids attending Councilmember Nuri Martinez's reading event at the Panorama City Branch Library. It's the second one the councilwoman has hosted to help promote reading. This year's theme, Wonder Woman.
The one thing I would just want to make sure our parents take away from this is that take advantage of the time that you have with your kids. Turn off that TV for at least an hour a day. Before your kids go to bed, make sure you create that reading space for them.
Though I was a princess, I did not want to become the queen. I wanted to fight for justice and secretly enter the contest. What did she want to be a princess? No!
Not only did the kids get to read with Wonder Woman, but they also received superhero backpacks with books from Scholastic.
It's wonderful. I love it. When my Alina was in second grade, they also had it. And I brought her, like I said, I've encouraged them to read a lot.
I like reading because it helps me learn.
And for some kids here, they were grateful for the opportunity to receive books.
It's a good thing you guys doing this for the people that needs the stuff, because there's a lot of people that doesn't have the money to go buy anything in the stores.
Thanks to the Wonder Woman of this district, these kids are receiving access to a superpower that will empower them for life. In Panorama City, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Councilwoman Nuri Martinez also held a similar event at the Van Nuys and Sun Valley Public Libraries. Well, here's your chance to try some unique flavors all in one location. Enjoy a little ice skating in the valley, and if you love Motown hits, we've got just the ticket. All this in this week's Things to Do. Smorgasburg LA is open every Sunday on the 5-acre site of the weekday Alameda Produce Market in downtown LA, which is part of a larger new development called Row Downtown LA. Each Sunday, find dozens of exciting food vendors at Smorgasburg LA, plus sophisticated shopping from the realms of design, craft, style, vintage, wellness, and more. Cultural events, pop-ups, and other surprises transform the vast site into a new experience in downtown LA's burgeoning scene and a unique destination for the region. Take a bite of LA on Sunday, January 14th, 21st, and 29th. For more, visit lasmorgasburg.com. The holidays may be over, but the fun isn't. If you haven't hit the ice rink this season yet, now's your chance. So strap on those ice skates and go for a ride at the Woodland Hills Ice Rink, the San Fernando Valley's only ice rink outside LA Live. From recreational skating, exhibitions, group and private classes to birthday parties, it's sure to entertain the whole family. For more, visit woodlandhillsice.com. It began as one man's story, became everyone's music, and is now Broadway's musical. Motown the Musical is the true American dream story of Motown founder Berry Gordy's journey from featherweight boxer to the heavyweight music mogul who launched the careers of Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Smokey Robinson, and many more. Motown shattered barriers, shaped our lives, and made us all move to the same beat. Now experience it live on stage in the record-breaking smash hit Motown the Musical. For more, visit motownthemusical.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacitv.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Good morning, good morning. If everyone would please take their seats. Everybody, please take your seats. Shh. Today is Friday, January 12th. I want to welcome you to City Hall, your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. The public is welcome. Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Would you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonins, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Harris Dawson, Weezar, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Weezar moves, Bonin seconds. Continue.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Price moves, O'Farrell seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, there are requests to continue item A, Q, and K to February 9th, 2018, as well as continue item 1D 1 week to January 19th, 2018 per the department, as well as receive and file items 1C, L, M, P, inasmuch as the liens were paid in full. The lien for item 1J should be reduced to $932.40 inasmuch as the lien was partially paid. And finally, per council office request to reduce the lien for 1T to $356.16, which is the original code violation inspection fee.
Okay, so without objection, so ordered. Please continue.
Items 1 through 3 are items noticed for public hearing. There is a request to continue item number 2 to Wednesday, January 17th, 2018. And also, there is a request to hold item number 3 on the desk, sir.
Okay, so ordered. You have cards on the other item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then move on to the next section on the agenda.
Items 4 through 21 are items for which public hearings have been held. The committee report for item 4 has been submitted, posted, and circulated for council's consideration, sir.
Okay, I don't see specials from the members. Why don't we prepare to vote on those items? Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. Thank you. So the next section?
Item 22 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, sir.
Okay, so without objection, that item is now before this body. Do you have cards on that item?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, so what I'm reading is next. We can go into the special meeting, but it's a little early. So what do we have?
Mr. President, council has items called special, general public comment, or presentation, sir.
Okay, then why don't we start with the presentation portion? And I would like to recognize Mr. Rue. I'm going to, from up here, so I'm going to let you.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Council President. And I know you are part of this presentation from up there. And it is my honor to, yet again on this day, declare today as Korean American Day. And today we celebrate the 115th year of Korean American contribution to our culture, economy, city, and nation. On January 13, 1903, 112 brave men, women, and children embarked on a journey from their native Korea, sailing east to the Pacific. Some stopped in Honolulu, others pressed on towards the sunny shores of California. They were soon joined by 7,500 of their fellow countrymen and women who braved the unknown in pursuit of hope. Hope for a better life, hope for a better future, in a strange land, but a land known for opportunity. Then in 1950, with the end of the Korean War, we saw hundreds of thousands of Koreans plant roots in the United States, allowing the Korean American community here to grow and to flourish. That was the second wave. Then came the most significant wave and the period that most personally affects me. The third wave, which began soon after the 1965 Immigration Act, and it was during this period that my parents, two young, intrepid, and hardworking people, set out for the United States to build a better life for themselves and for their children, or for me. They could have not known what lay ahead. They could have not predicted the possibilities and the opportunities, nor the struggles and the setbacks. In their wildest dreams, they could have never predicted that one day they would walk down the steps of City Hall for their son's inauguration to the Los Angeles City Council. And actually, my mother's joining us here today, but she's stuck in traffic. But, you know, they only knew that they had a chance to come and contribute to this great country. And with that chance, they, along with millions of other Korean Americans, made a home in this new country. They worked, they struggled, and they endured by opening over 200,000 businesses and creating over $50 billion in revenue. Korean Americans have made a profound and lasting impact on American life and culture. Like other ethnic groups that have come here, Korean Americans have had an instrumental role in shaping the country and the city we live in. Korean Americans continue to help build this country and city, and with us today are many of the leaders in our local Korean American community. And that's our brand new minted, literally less than a week old, Consul General from the Republic of Korea, Wan Jun Kim. Yeah.
Let's give him a round of applause. Welcome, Consul General.
We also have, representing the Korean American Foundation of Los Angeles this year and responsible for all Korean American Day festivities, Mr. Byungman Lee. And representing the Korean American Federation of Los Angeles, Shine Shin.
Welcome.
And of course, our very own, and we all know him, he's our friend, our colleague, our Congress member of the Koreatown area, Jimmy Gomez.
All right, Congressman.
And we have also many other leaders in the Korean American Coalition, the Chamber, and numerous other organizations. But before I ask them to speak, I know you, Council President, Mr. Weston, you wanted to say a few words?
Well, first of all, let me welcome you to our house, to your house. And I think that it's very appropriate on the heels of some unbelievably idiotic statements made by the leader of this nation, that we would embrace, celebrate diversity, that we would recognize people that have played a significant role in making this country the United States of America, not the divided States of America. We in Los Angeles, we represent this country. I believe that we are the backstop for freedom, and it's important for us to show the rest of this nation that we incorporate all people. And I just think that it's so appropriate that we have our Korean American brothers and sisters with us here today. Let us give them a rousing round of applause for all of the work that they have done to make this a great nation. The reason why we are the nation that we are, the reason why so many people from all over the world want to come here is because we offer hope. This is a place where it doesn't matter what you look like or what religion you practice. And I can't think of a group of individuals that have done more for this country than the people that I'm pleased and honored to represent from Koreatown. I want to officially welcome our new Consul General and all of you for everything that you've done. And I also want to say that, Ralph, I missed you last year, and it's just I'm so pleased that you are here with us today, and I can't articulate how grateful I am for all of the good work that you and your family, your dad, has done for this great city. And I would say this, the mid-city area of the city of Los Angeles was saved, in my opinion, by the Korean community. When people were leaving it, when people did not want to invest in it, the Korean communities hunkered down, put together money, invested, protected, and now it's one of the most thriving sections of the city of Los Angeles. So, Mr. Ryu, I can't say, I want to hear from our congressman and the other people, but I also have to go back to Ralph, who I have history with, former coach of a team that my son's team used to play, would beat on a regular basis. But I did not know that he was an accomplished actor. And so I just want to say there are many faces of Mr. An and all that he's done. But welcome to your City Hall. Thank you for your contributions. This city will stand united, and we will be a beacon of hope, and we will be a beacon of a light for the rest of this country. We want all people that want to make this world a better place. LA, we welcome you. Thank you for your contributions. Let's give them one more round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. President. And now I'd like to introduce my brother from another mother, our Congressmember, my Congressmember, Congressmember Jimmy Gomez of the 34th District.
Thank you so much. Good morning to the LA City Council, to the people of Los Angeles. Thank you, Councilmember Ryu and Council President Herb Wesson, for having me here. It's a pleasure to celebrate Korean American Day here in the great city of Los Angeles. And it's great to be where it's a little warmer and a little bit nicer than Washington, D.C. But I'm proud to represent the 34th District, which stretches from Northeast LA to Boyle Heights to downtown to Koreatown. And it has the largest Korean population than any congressional seat in the entire country, 60,000 Koreans. So it's my honor to represent them in Washington, D.C. And I know that we don't get a lot of things done there that are helpful to the people of California, but I'm proud to say that I was able to reintroduce the Korean American Day resolution on the 115th anniversary of the first arrival of Korean Americans to the United States. And we were able to do this with the support of Senator Kamala Harris, and it was the first time this was done in 13 years. And for me, it was 13 years too long. You know, in the face of what's going on at the national level, Los Angeles and California do stand out as a unique place, where we understand that each group of immigrants strengthens our city, strengthens our state, enriches us in so many different ways, from Roy Choi combining Latin food and Korean food to make the Korean barbecue taco that everybody loves, to the changing skyline that we see in downtown and throughout the mid-city area. But it is for these reasons and many others why we fight every single day for her humane immigration system, why we want to make sure that DACA remains in place, because most people think that it's mostly Latinos that are in it, which is true. But the individuals who signed up the fastest where undocumented Koreans were the fastest group to sign up, right? So when we fight for DACA, we fight for the Korean community. When we fight for DACA, we fight for the Filipino community. When we fight for DACA, we fight for anybody who has immigrant roots. And I tell you something, it's pretty much everybody in this country.
Mr. Herman, please be quiet. Don't disrupt this meeting.
So I just want to say that we have a lot to do, but it is my honor to recognize Korean American Day at the federal level and to be here with all of you at the local level, because we are one team fighting for one purpose, a United States of America. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Congressmember, for being a much-needed voice in these dark times. Next, it is my honor to introduce our newly minted Consul General of the Republic of Korea here in Los Angeles, and that's Consul General Wan Jun Kim.
Consul General, welcome.
Yeah. Very good morning. 안녕하세요. President Herb Wesson of the City Council and Council Member David Liu and Honorable Congressman Jimmy Gomez and the Dr. Lerfu An and distinguished members of the City Council and leaders in the Korean American community. This morning, as a new Consul General, I'm very pleased and honored to join you in celebrating Korean American Day and say your congratulatory remarks on behalf of Korean government. As you are all aware, the Korean American Day was first designated in 2005 by the U.S. Congress, and in recognition of contribution of Korean Americans to the U.S. and their dedication to the everlasting friendship between Korea and the United States of America. In this regard, I'd like to deliver my special gratitude to the President Herb Wesson and distinguished members of the City Council by reading a part of President Moon Jae-in's congratulatory remarks, congratulatory message on the Korean American Day. President Moon Jae-in said, quote, 115 years have passed since the first step to the U.S. territory was marked by 102 Koreans who departed the port of Jaemulpo on freezing winter day and finally arrived at the port of Honolulu, Hawaii in January 1903. From that time on, scattered Koreans forming exemplary communities and took deep root in the ground toward new life. Americans welcomed Koreans with friendship. I, as the President of the Republic of Korea, would like to extend my sincere gratitude to American friend. End quote. Thank you. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Mr. Consul General. And now, the founders of the Korean American Day and the president this year of the Korean American Day Foundation, Mr. Byung-man Lee.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I'd like to let you know we have a Pyeongchang Winter Olympic photo zone in back room. So after this meeting, you're welcome to join and take picture with us, please. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Byung-man Lee. I'm a president of a Korean American LA. Also, I'm a president of a Pyeongchang Winter Olympic of USA. Thank you for having another 115 celebration in City Hall. This is my third year. Deeply in my heart, I appreciated all the City Council, David Liu and Herb Wesson. I appreciate it so much. You doing for this us. And we feel more friendly, we feel more family. Thank you very much. And we were gonna work more hard to support LA City. Also, I'd like to ask all the City Council help our community also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Well said.
Next, representing the Korean American Federation, we have Mrs. Shine Shin.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable Council President Wesson and council members. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's an honor and pleasure to be here representing Korean American Federation of Los Angeles and to thank you for celebrating Korean American Day. On January 13th, 1903, 115 years ago, the first Korean immigrants arrived in this country. They faced the challenges and barriers of a new language and cultural, a familiar experience for many immigrants. Since the day they set their foot in this country, Korean immigrants have invested themselves in the future of the United States. Through tenacity and sacrifice, they established a new home in new land, educating their children and following the dreams that they led so many here before. Korean immigrants have helped strengthen emergent communities while raising their children to be productive Korean Americans and becoming an integral part of a mainstream American society. Korean Americans have made notable contributions in finance, medicine, law, technology, education, sports, media, the arts, the military, and government, such as An Chang-ho, Charles H. Kim, a prominent Korean independence activist and early leaders of a Korean immigrant community. Young-ho Kim, the first Asian colonel to lead a U.S. battalion in war. Dr. Sammy Lee, two-time U.S. Olympic gold-winning champion and Korean War veteran. And Alfred H. Song, the first Asian American elected to California legislature. However, the Korean American experience has not always been easy. The LA riots, for example, were a devastating time for our community. Yet in line with the unrelenting American spirit, our community came together to learn from this hardship by becoming more politically and civically engaged citizens. Korean American Day is about recognizing the history and achievements of Korean Americans. It is about welcoming the diversity that Korean Americans bring. It celebrates Korean Americans as true Americans who also honor our roots. As the world looks to the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Olympics, we are proud and reflect on South Korea's accomplishment. We also embrace the message of peace, the blending of a tradition with international cultural, and expanding horizons beyond borders, all of which have made this day possible. On behalf of a Korean American community, I would like to thank our council members for commemorating our history, contributions, and accomplishments. We would also like to give a special recognitions to Assembly Member Stephen Choi and former Assembly Member Young Kim, who introduced Assembly Concurrent Resolution 3 relative to Korean American Day, and Congressman Jimmy Gomez, who introduced a resolution this week in the House of Representatives for commemorating Korean American Day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before we present to the Korean American community, we have our final speaker, last but not least. But actually, before we call Ralph on up, my mother just walked in. If I could get my mother to come over.
Yeah. Let's give her a round of applause.
The person who gave me birth and gave me the opportunity.
Miss Rue, we're so glad you made it.
Part of the third wave and gave me the opportunity to be here today.
Let's give her another round of applause.
But last but not least, one of our strongest community leaders, one of our inspirational speakers,
yes.
And that is Mr. Ralph Ahn.
All right, give Ralph a round of applause.
Mr. President and council members, again, we are grateful that you are helping us observe this Korean American Day. Though Korean American Day is being commemorated all over the nation, the city of Los Angeles holds a special place in observing this day. From that original migration that came to Hawaii, there was a contingent of those pioneer immigrants in 1905 that came to Southern California. When they came here to find migrant work, they discovered by international treaty that their independence had been negotiated away to the Empire of Japan. With this news and with their newly discovered activities of the host community, where there is the ideal of equality, justice, and independence, they decided to sacrifice and work for the regaining of the independence of their nation. They formed the Korean National Association, which turned out to be the Korean government in exile. And the Korean National Association was very instrumental in working for the quest of the Koreans to regain their independence. And here in Los Angeles, that headquarters still stands over on Jefferson Boulevard near Budlong. It still stands there, has been restored, and it is a fitting memorial to those patriotic pioneers. But again, Mr. President, we are honored to be part of this city of pluralistic communities. We are honored, though we and our forefathers are very proud of the nations from which they descended. We are proud what this city contributes to this great community called the United States of America. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. Thank you. Mr. Rue, I have a couple of members that I'd like to recognize at this point, beginning with Mr. O'Farrell.
Mr. Rue, Mrs. Rue, Consul General, Mr. Lee, Mr. Ahn, distinguished guests, I rise in celebration of Korean American Day as well. And as someone who represents a large portion of Koreatown in the 13th District, and someone who used to live in Koreatown back in the 1980s, I know firsthand the significant contributions, not just to the 13th District, but the entire city and entire region of Southern California. That is not lost on me or any of us in this room. And the group gathered here today really represents what's best of America. And when we have such a negative signal from the White House these days, it gives me great comfort and it fortifies my spirit to see this outpouring of community and celebration and diversity. And that's what this day represents to me. So thank you so much and congratulations on this day. And you as well, Congressman Gomez, thank you for all of your work to help celebrate this incredible community in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Englander.
Thank you. I would like to recognize, in order of importance, Mrs. Rue, Mr. Rue, of course, Congressman Jimmy Gomez, for recognizing the contributions of the Korean American community in our city. And while Wilshire, the area of central Los Angeles, might, I emphasize, might be the most important, strongly associated with the Korean community, I want to acknowledge that the LA Times recently ran a photo series titled The San Fernando Valley's Koreatown, which showed the incredible contributions of the Korean Americans to the neighborhoods of Porter Ranch, Chatsworth, Granada Hills, and many more. In fact, the San Fernando Valley, the Korean Business Directory, has listed nearly 1,500 Korean-owned businesses in the San Fernando Valley alone. The prosperity and cultural richness of the San Fernando Valley is owed in large part to the Korean American community, and so I want to thank you very much for your contributions and your continued charity to our city. Thank you so much.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, David, for bringing forward this recognition. I had the chance to represent the Korean community for about a minute a number of years ago in the state legislature, but I was honored to do that. The Korean community is one of the most valued and successful immigrant communities in our city, and I think we have to recognize that you have done a lot more for the city of Los Angeles than we have done for you. The Korean community has been a great support for the city of Los Angeles, And we are very pleased to recognize you. We're very pleased to have you within our boundaries. And I join the rest of my colleagues not only in recognizing you, but in objecting to what we've been hearing from our president these days. So we want to make sure you understand the pride that we feel in having your community here in Los Angeles and in the United States, and all that you've given to us over the years.
Mr. Buscaino.
I too want to rise and recognize our Korean American leader here, David Ryu. And no, I may not have in CD15 a large Korean constituency, but we have CD15 in San Pedro's home to one of the greatest gifts the people of the Republic of Korea have ever given to the city, the Korean Friendship Bell, during the bicentennial celebration in 1976. And that is a gift that we continue to value in our city and in our community. So we thank you for all your contributions to our great city, and we say a heartfelt 감사합니다.
Mr. Sadia.
안녕하세요. Mr. Ryu, thank you for your leadership. I know your community is so proud of all the great things that you do and for the example of service. We had the honor and privilege of meeting in Korea, and it's with fond memories that I have from that experience. But my relationship with the Korean community didn't begin then. Wednesday was my father's birthday. He would have been 89 years old. And he joined the army in 1947 to fight in the Korean conflict for freedom and democracy for Korea. And so my journey to Korea began 50 years earlier. And so it's a long relationship with a long history, with shared values and a shared vision, a commitment to democracy and freedom, faith in things beyond our control, and a belief that we have as entrepreneurs and as workers that the product of our hard work, of our diligence, and our faith will result in more prosperity for ourselves, but more importantly for our families and for our future. And so I thank you for providing that leadership today. I don't see the congressman. He was with us. He is doing a stellar job making the transition from local representative to being our voice in Washington, representing our collective interests, ensuring that every community in this great city and in this great nation is respected for where they come from and for where they're headed, and that each and every single one of us has a right to be treated with the dignity and the respect that God intended. Thank you for your leadership.
And Mr. Ryu, but before you close, I just want to say for all of the contributions that you've made, not just for this country, but for this city, I say, 대단히 감사합니다.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you for being such a great representative of the Korean American community, not just while you were on City Council, but also in the past as a state representative and also your service with the county. And I'd just like to close by presenting this proclamation on behalf of the Los Angeles City Council. 우리 한인 커뮤니티한테요, 벌써 3년째로 우리 Korean American Day Declaration 합니다. 한인으로 너무나 반갑고요, 너무나 proud하고요. 우리 LA 시청은 우리 한국 사람들, for all peoples, from all backgrounds and nationalities, this is your city hall. 그래서 오늘 이렇게 한인 커뮤니티 시청으로 와가지고 같이 함께 시간 보낸다는 게 너무 반갑습니다. 그리고 이 시청은 우리 시청입니다. 우리 한인 커뮤니티 시청. For the third Korean American Day celebration here in the city of Los Angeles, I'd like to present this to the Korean American community on behalf of all of us for Korean American Day 2018.
Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you guys for coming in. And Mr. Price, if you would be, prepare yourself, you're up next.
Mr. Price, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Members, today we're recognizing the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the important legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Monday is the Reverend King's birthday, and there will be celebrations throughout our state and nation honoring his work. And we know that that work is now even more important than ever. Joining me today is Pastor William Smart, the chair of the Los Angeles Southern Christian Leadership Conference chapter, Ms. Susie Marks, Mr. Ralph Verteg, whom you're going to, who's one of our awardees, and we can't leave out, of course, Irma Hallwood, otherwise known as Granny. Where's Granny? And our friend from USWW. Before we acknowledge our honorees, we just want to point out that the chapter dinner is going to be held on Monday. We're very excited about that. The Legacy Awards and Benefit Gala, honoring individuals and organizations that have made real contributions to the community. Before we identify the awardees, I'm going to ask Pastor Smart to speak to the mission and the goals of the SCLC and the importance of keeping the legacy of Dr. King alive. Reverend Smart.
Thank you, Councilman Curran Price, and to our president and all the members of this august body. Never before, since I have been standing here as president of SCLC Southern California, has this moment been as pertinent as it is right now. What Dr. King stood for is the antithesis of what we heard yesterday from the President of the United States of America. If there's ever a time for the dream of Dr. King and the mission of SCLC to promote unity, to fight injustice and to overcome prejudice and racism and sexism, it's now when we look at the administration in Washington. That is why SCLC is more relevant today than it has ever been. We are glad that we are in a city, though, that has a wide and strong city council and mayor like we have here in Los Angeles that understands and that will fight with us as we fight for the injustices that are taking place in America. And so we're happy we're having our gala, but this year marks the 50th commemoration of the sacrifice of Dr. Martin Luther King. And so there will be several activities all the way up until we have a social justice festival, where we will be organizing so that what is happening in Washington can be changed, and it can only be changed by we the people, as Martin Luther King said, and we the people have power. So we thank you, and we have one of our honorees here. Are you introducing him? Mr. Ralph Furtick, and the councilman will continue. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Price.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. We appreciate your leadership and the message that you provide with staying strong to the goals and objectives of Martin Luther King. He mentioned that we'll be honoring a number of awardees at the gala dinner this Monday at, where's the dinner going to be? At the Sheraton Grand Hotel. Sheraton Gateway by the airport. And so we're going to be honoring Karen Bass, Honorable Karen Bass, who's going to receive the Rosa Parks Humanitarian Award. The Reverend Thomas Kilgore Jr. will receive the Prophetic Witness Award. Issa Rae, who's going to be receiving the Millennial Leaders Award, and we honored Ms. Rae here in Chambers several months ago. And last but not least, we're going to be recognizing Dr. Ralph Furtick, who's going to receive the Drum Major Award for Justice. And Doctor, we just want to present this commendation to you at this time, again, in recognition of your commitment, your service, and your belief that everyone is created equal. And you have certainly demonstrated that in your professional and personal life, and we appreciate the leadership that you have shown, and we look forward to recognizing you on Monday. Let's give it up for all of our awardees, please. Doctor, would you care to say a word?
Good morning. I'm just an ordinary man. I have no great wealth, no celebrity, no special skills, but I am living testimony to the fact that an individual, an ordinary man, can bring about profound changes working with groups. One illustration of that was in 1980, when through Americans for Democratic Action, I led the movement to secure a commutation of the death sentence for Kim Dae-jung, who had been kidnapped by the Chan Do-wan regime and brought to Korea. And it was through our efforts that the life sentence was commuted, and ultimately he was released. But it was by applying pressure to Jimmy Carter, then the President of the United States. That's just one example of what can be done by ordinary people working together. I want to suggest to this honorable City Council, I've known some of you individually for years, and you must have been offended, as was I, by the remarks of the President. We in Los Angeles represent the welcoming of persons from Bergen to Botswana. I think it's incumbent upon you, the representatives of the greatest city in the Western world, to offer welcome to people from Haiti, from Norway, and from the 53 nations of Africa. To remain silent, Martin Luther King once said, can often be betrayal. A statement from the LA City Council welcoming persons from the shitholes of the world.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Let's give him another round of applause, everyone. Thank you, and thank you, Mr.
Remind
Price.
everyone, the dinner is this
We have
Sunday.
We do have
Monday.
we do have a speaker on the queue who wants to go to the dinner. So, Mr. Harris Dawson.
I want to make sure Reverend Smart stays my table. I just wanted to rise and congratulate our chapter of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, one of the most dynamic and largest chapters of Southern Christian Leadership Conference anywhere in the United States, I think second only to Atlanta at this moment. And to Dr. Furtick, who's been on the front lines of the battle for a very, very long time. When most of us showed up to the social justice movement, Ralph, you had been there already for a long time and were holding court. And so we thank you for that. And this weekend, it is so important. I know so many people have said it. The President of the United States has told us who he is. It is not up for debate anymore. He has left no uncertainty. The only question now is who are we? And what are we going to do in response? And so SCLC leads out in that fight. There's no one has set a greater example than you, Dr. Furtick, and so we're happy and proud to have you here today for this celebration.
All right. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you again. Just a reminder, the dinner is this Monday at the Sheraton Grand. Everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Fantastic. The Sheraton near LAX, Mr. Price.
LAX.
Yes.
Sheraton Grand, LAX.
LAX. Got it. All right. And we have another very special presentation with Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez. Come on up.
That'll be afterwards, but we might as well.
Come up and join me. All right. Morning, colleagues. Well, it is a bittersweet moment for me, and I know for the city of Los Angeles, that this day has arrived. But I'm here to join with Councilmember O'Farrell and the rest of all of you colleagues to celebrate the work and the legacy of a gentleman who needs no introduction. We are here to recognize and thank and honor Ed Ibrahimian for his more than 31 years of service to the city of Los Angeles. As many of you know, Ed Ibrahimian has served as a general manager for the Bureau of Street Lighting, and it was in that role while I was serving as the vice president of the Board of Public Works for 3 years, he and I were quite a dynamic force. And I couldn't ask for a better collaborator and partner in crime to help innovate in the city of Los Angeles. And there was really no other individual that I can recall that just has brought such a can-do attitude, a way of figuring out and navigating around some of the bureaucracy that we have in the city to help innovate and deliver such notable items, like the first ever publicly accessed EV charging station attached to a street light, like adding cell charging stations to our public transportation infrastructure at in many of our districts. Those are things that when I sometimes would come up with some random crazy ideas, this was the guy that I called. And together we would help navigate and find ways of implementing it so that the constituents of the city of Los Angeles would benefit from these types of innovations. And it really is a bittersweet moment because Ed has been an incredible, thoughtful leader in the city for 31 years, having been first appointed to serve as general manager and Confirmed by 2 succeeding mayors, he was first appointed as general manager by Mayor Jim Hahn, then Antonio Villaraigosa, and most recently, our current mayor, Eric Garcetti. He began his career in the city at the Bureau of Street Lighting as an engineer associate on August 18, 1986, and rose through the ranks in the department. So it's a long time, Ed. Serving as the engineering assistant and division manager and senior engineering manager and achieving assistant director before becoming appointed general manager. In the position he has held for the last 13 years as general manager, he was responsible for the operations and activities of the second largest municipal street lighting system in the United States, with over 219,000 street lights, representing 400 different architectural styles. He has overseen and managed an annual budget of more than $65 million, 250 employees in multiple disciplines. And again, his incredible leadership and can-do attitude has not only been reflected in the incredible innovations that we've led together, and I know Councilman O'Farrell will also share some of the work that they partnered on together, but he's really left a legacy and an incredible imprint in leadership that is now succeeding with 2 dynamic women that will be succeeding him in the leadership role for the Bureau of Street Lighting, who are also here with us this morning. So I want to personally thank my good friend, Eddie Brahimian, for his incredible leadership and dedication and service to the city of Los Angeles, but for being an incredible partner with me. And I, again, as heartbreaking as it is to be in this position now, and not have you here, the one thing I know we do have is your legacy that will continue based on the leadership and the example that you've led in this Bureau, and with an incredible team that has supported you. You've left an indelible mark in the city, and I thank you. And I also want to acknowledge his wife, Katrine, who's here, and his 2 wonderful kids, his son Nareg and his daughter Mina, who was unable to join us. But I want to turn it over to my colleague, Mitch O'Farrell.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you so much. Monica just mentioned can-do, the can-do attitude, the can-do spirit, and that was a real popular phrase in the 1970s when I was a gymnastics pupil. And every time my coach heard any of us say, "I can't do that," we would have to stop what we're doing and do 10 push-ups. And no one exhibits a can-do attitude better than Ed Ibrahimian. He always has. And we need a lot more of that at City Hall. It's the can-do attitude that motivates us to break through red tape and the bureaucracy to make things happen. And that's what Ed's professional career has been all about. I first crossed paths with him when he was a brand new general manager, when I was on the staff of my predecessor as a field deputy. And the first thing I observed is that he was incredibly responsive to all of us. Didn't matter if you were a field deputy or if you were the receptionist at the front desk or if you were the elected official, Ed was responsive to everyone equally. There is no one who represents more of an egalitarian attitude or perspective than Ed Ibrahimian. And it is that perspective and that point of view that it has enabled him to be such an effective general manager. All of the things that he has pioneered that Ms. Rodriguez talked about, the LED program, which has influenced other cities, other states, in fact, the entire United States in terms of energy conservation, where he worked hand in hand with Ms. Rodriguez when she was on the Board of Public Works. We've all been the beneficiary of that. Now, when I was a new council member, I had a lot of goals that involved increased and improved lighting across my district. And from the very first meetings that I had with Ed when I was a new council member, he effectuated positive change in my district that made our neighborhoods safer. So Ed has helped improve the quality of life for all of our neighborhoods just because he is a can-do man. And I couldn't be prouder to have association with Ed Ibrahimian on many things. First of all, he is a member of Hominid Men, which is an Armenian service organization, which is in Glassell Park within walking distance of my house. Anytime I've been there, I've seen Ed there because he gives of his time to improve his own community when he's not busy working as the director, the general manager of the Bureau of Street Lighting. He's helped and will continue to help with the Armenian Gateway sign monument that is going to be built in the 13th District. Vermonica is a sculpture of streetlights that is now placed in front of the Bureau of Street Lighting Yard in the 13th District. And Ed and I have really bonded over the future of what becomes of that sculpture. And we figured out a permanent home for that. And in the coming years, he'll be there when we rededicate the permanent home of what was Vermonica. Now it's just Monica. In fact, it's Monica Rodriguez. But it really is an honor for me and a privilege to be here to provide accolades on how wonderful Ed Ibrahimian is and what a consummate professional he is that we can all learn from. And that's what inspires me as an elected official. I can continually learn and be inspired to do my job better because of people like Ed Ibrahimian. I couldn't be more proud to be your friend. Congratulations.
We do have a couple speakers on the queue. Councilmember Rue.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'm glad I made it back in time for this presentation because, I mean, Ed is most deserving of this retirement, and I know his family wants him back, and I know he has a lot of things to do, but we are truly, truly sad to see him go. And I have to say, in my almost 3 years here in City Council now, I could hands down say he was the most responsive. He and his staff were quickest to get things done and following up, and that's why myself and Councilman O'Farrell, we were trying to collude and figure out if we could maybe rescind his retirement. But you did give a lot of years to the city. But we are very, very sorry to see you go. My entire staff is very, very sorry to see you go. But I know you're still going to be involved in the city of Los Angeles one way or another because your work and your philanthropy goes beyond just a Bureau of Street Lighting. But thank you so much for your service, and today's a sad but happy day. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kretz.
A lot of what I wanted to say. I know you have a great many accomplishments in the city, but the most important is the day-to-day constituent service that we got from your department, which honestly is truly like no other. And I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to at the many community meetings I go to, because we have around 100 HOAs and NCs in my district. And at every one of them, people will say, I called in a street lighting problem and I thought it would take 3 months, kind of what I expect from the city. And the next day, there it was fixed. So I just want to recognize you and your team for the incredible work that you've done, certainly not only during the 8 years that I've been here, but longer. This has been an incredible group, incredibly responsive, and I think you set the tone for making that happen. So we hope they'll continue to do the same kind of amazing work that they've done under your tutelage. And if we could talk you into staying around, we would tick off your whole family, so we will not continue to try that. But we greatly appreciate all the terrific work that you've done for the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. And thank you very much. And I want to thank you personally as well. We've worked together for many, many years, and you've always kept the lights on and done a great job. We were able to pilot new programs with solar lighting in my district. I was honored to be the very first in the city, and I think a lot of it because of the relationships that you've had with the Valley specifically, and recognizing that with your entire staff. So let's all once again give a big round of applause before we hear from the man himself. Thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you, and thank you. I usually don't write what I have to talk about. Today is a little bit emotional day, so I wanted to put it in writing so I can handle it a little bit better. So Thank you, Councilwoman Rodriguez, Councilman O'Farrell, and all the council members. I feel humbled and absolutely honored to be here today. It's been an amazing journey to serve the city of Los Angeles for 31 plus years, especially the last 13 years as general manager of the Bureau of Street Lighting. As Councilwoman mentioned, serving under 3 mayors, Mayor Hahn, Mayor Virgosa, and Mayor Garcetti. I am proud to be the first ever and highest ranking appointed Armenian American general manager in the city's history. I am so grateful and humbled with the positive comments about what we have accomplished here in street lighting, which I'm immensely proud of and feel so fortunate to have had the opportunity to lead such an amazing organization. Together in BSL, as was mentioned, we have completely transformed the business of street lighting. As you all know, street lights are not only about lights anymore. But none of what we have accomplished during the last 13 years would have ever been possible without full dedication of every single hardworking man and woman employee of Bureau of Street Lighting. Some of them are here standing right behind me, both in our field operations and all the staff in the Public Works building. Together, really, we have written an amazing chapter for street lighting, not only for City of Los Angeles, but nationally and worldwide. But personally, let me just say this. My time as director, as general manager, has given me so much. It's given me humility, maturity, compassion, the art of listening, transparency, clarity, decisiveness, creativity, perseverance, and finally, it has taught me how to embrace every challenge I face, not as a challenge, but as a unique opportunity to make the impossible possible, and never buckle under pressure. It has just made me a much stronger person, which is probably the main reason I've lasted 13 years as a GM, and Sharon is looking at me. So I really stand here in front of this horseshoe, the City Council, tall, extremely proud, blessed, humbled, and feeling so, so fortunate. I couldn't have asked for more. In closing, let me just say, I have no idea how my life will be without this, all of this, without my BSL family, without my Public Works family, and my entire city family here as a whole, because creating this synergy, this dynamic professional experience is almost impossible in the outside world. So I'm going to miss you all. There is no question I'm going to miss all this. Thank you, and lights out from Ed Ibrahimian.
Lights are always on.
Thank you, Ed. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, thank you for being a bright light in our city, for being an example of strong leadership with your incredible attitude. I am really going to miss you, but I thank you for all of your legacy of work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, and colleagues, we have a request to move item 4 forthwith, so it'll be forthwith without objection, and that'll be the order. Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Price, we have another special presentation from you. This will be the final presentation of the day.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman and colleagues. It's my honor today to recognize our men and women in blue, those specifically that serve the Newton Division and the Community Safety Program. This is a group of hardworking men and women who are located in my district's Pueblo del Rio housing project, as well as other locations around our city. Recently, the Community Safety Program received a variety of local and statewide awards for their pioneering work and dedication to community outreach and empowerment. And I'd like to thank all of the officers that are with us today that have contributed to that. Let me start with Chief Robert Arcos, Captain Mike Rimkunis, Sergeant Heidi Stockline, Senior Lead Officer Flo Talames, Senior Lead Officer John Negrete, Senior Lead Officer Pablo Soto, and my other notes at the desk, just so we get all the officers here. There is it's a real opportunity to provide the kind of community services from the police that we have not seen enough of. And so we're real pleased that this community safety program has really been a pioneering effort. Senior Lead Officer Steve Rodriguez is with us, Senior Lead Officer Lizette Esquivel, Officer Cynthia Hernandez, and Officer Lyndon Barber. Let's give them all a hand again. And I want to ask Captain Rimkunis to tell us more about the great work and the efforts of the officers to provide services to our community. Captain?
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Just first want to say good morning to the council. I'd like to thank Councilmember Price, his staff, Mike Castillo, James Westbrooks, Genevieve Arce. This was a vision that started in 2016. And I'd like to say it was a vision that was brought to fruition with the group that's standing behind me. We have a dedicated group of officers that have put their heart and soul into making Newton Division, making the Pueblo del Rio housing development a safer and better place. We have a number of outstanding programs. We have a number of dedicated community members that work in partnership with the group standing behind me, and I couldn't be ever more proudly of the work that these folks have done day in and day out. It truly takes a different type of police officer to work a CSP program, to be dedicated and to be committed to the mission, and that's building community relationships, is developing good, strong, foundational relationships that last a lifetime. I'd like to call up Heidi Stockline, if that's okay. She is the sergeant, the brainchild behind this great, outstanding program, to say a few words.
Absolutely. And before you come up and speak, Herman, if you're going to continue to make noises from the audience, you're disrupting this. We're going to ask you to leave. That's your fair and final warning. You continue to disrupt the presentations, but now you're making noise by flapping around. And sergeants, let him know. If he makes another noise, he's out. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Rimkunis. I'd just like to thank our city leaders just for embracing the community partnership program that we have in Newton area and all throughout the city. It is so dear to us and dear to our hearts, and just thank you, Captain, for embracing this also, because this team pours their heart into this community and they've become family to us. They come to serve as officers, but also as mothers, as fathers, as sisters, and as cousins, and they have built, we have an extended family, and in such a short time, this community has been, I'm at a lack of words for what they mean to us and what this team means to me. We have football coaches. We have officers that coordinate immigration forms, which echo the words of the council president earlier. So as we move forward into 2018, I will ensure that the heart of the LAPD and the heart of our community will be together in Newton. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And we do have one speaker on the queue, but before I ask my colleague to speak, I just want to thank all of you. And Mr. Price, thanks for bringing them here. It's every day, not only do the challenges get more for our police officers, And you'd said it very well. You become mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers to all those in the community. You are the first point of contact in the worst times and also in the best of times. But developing those relationships is far beyond what you ever thought you would sign up for when you pinned on that badge. And it's not just the relationships within the department, but even more importantly, with the community. And we have more officers doing less than ever before because there's so much need and demand. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for just astonishing work that you're doing. And we're a different and a better city because of it. So thank you very, very much. And Joe, ask you to say a few words as well.
And thank you, Mr. Price, for bringing this elite group of the LAPD. The Community Safety Partnership Program is an effective community policing model that we've seen here in the city, in our district, in Watts, Mr. Marquise Harris-Doss in Harbor Park. It's just blossoming as an amazing program that really focuses on building trust relationships and with the police and the community, but also as police officers showing the heart behind the badge. And we stand and recognize your contributions to the city and to the police department. And whenever you have that faith, trust, and confidence between the police and the community, you see reduction in crime. And this is why we've taken on this model throughout the city and elsewhere. And I'm hoping other cities follow. I know this is a national model to follow, and because it works. It works well. And I want to take this opportunity, if I can, Mr. Price, to recognize the CSP program in Watts at the Rams game just this last weekend. Goodell presented Super Bowl tickets to our Watts Bears head coaches, who are LAPD officers, part of the CSP program. And that was a sign to recognize those police officers in Watts that are doing amazing work. So thank you for all that you do. You are impacting lives. And I do know that also you value relationship building, but you also value the work that, if someone's going to cause problems in the community in Newton, they're going to go to jail too. So it's that balancing act that you're holding these the families and the youth that you serve accountable, but also to those knuckleheads out there that if you do cause problems in the community, you will be taken to jail as well. So it's an amazing balance, and we thank you for your hard work and dedication to our city.
Thank you, Councilman, for your comments and your leadership. And I think it is duly noted that the CSP program was pioneered in Watts. We appreciate the leadership there, expanded to the 8th District, and we're very proud of the programs that are going on in the 9th District. So on behalf of a grateful community, we want to present this resolution signed by all members of our council in appreciation for your outstanding service and your continued dedication to this community. Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, we're going to go ahead and turn our agenda to our attention to the agenda, so we can go ahead and go into multiple speaker card items. And let's go ahead and take the first item. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with item 22.
Okay. You good?
Okay, Wayne, come on up. So Wayne, you are on item 1. Three, 22, 24, 26, 27, and 28. One, 3, and 22. Only those three. 1, 3, and 22. And then general public comment. And excuse me for 1 second. You're going to continue to make any animal sounds. You're going to be asked to leave. You're disrupting this meeting.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah. So number 1, we're going to be on the precipice on number 1. On this day in 1A and CD9, the bigamist has got a lien. CD9, no, did a lien. The rest of these things in 1E, we have a CD9 lien that must be eradicated. Only people in the black districts today get amnesty. CD8 on 1H, do it the MLK way, down with the lien in Marquise's district. Now in CD10 and J, I would also say get rid of it, but as I note, the problem with that is that Herb Wesson's a Jew, so we can't ask for
All right, if you're not going to
amnesty.
stick to the agenda items, we're going to cut your time and go into general public comment. That'll be your last warning.
Number 1M, I had a dream that Marquise would cancel that lien. And 1-0, CD8, we must on Exposition Boulevard, Marquise must also eradicate the foreclosure. And that's the rest of them. And then, of course, 1T. Yes, and 1T, a lien in CD6. We continue to ask for the eradication of liens north Encino Avenue. I received a text. Dear Jew, please ask Nuri to get rid of my lien in 1T. I love my Jewish brothers in North Encino. No, eradicate the lien on 1T. Then we get to number 2, the liquor license negotiations behind closed doors. I have a video.
You can sign up for 2, so please stick to the items you signed up for.
Video on the whole negotiation. Thank you for that to the left. Then we have number 3, TEFRA. I've tried to figure out TEFRA. What is TEFRA? Fuck TEFRA. I don't understand TEFRA. TEFRA sounds like a tampon product. I don't know what it is, so fuck TEFRA. And fuck people that do TEFRA. And then we get, of course, to the rent escrow program. Thank you to Councilman Cedillo's office. I resolved my issue on my non-rent controlled apartment in the C21 district. Good job. See, I talk about that when you do a good job.
All right, 1 minute for general public comment.
Now, you know what to do. It's the Toiletry Drive in CD6. You know what to do. Bring a wrapped condom or a tampon to any office of Nuri Martinez. Come here to City Hall. Leave it on the doorstep. Or go to Sun Valley. Make sure it's wrapped. Don't bring an unwrapped condom or an unwrapped tampon. That's the ones, if they are unwrapped, you bring them to Jose Huizar's district office. We only accept sanitary products. And then, of course, you go to Van Nuys City Hall, and you can go there and make your donations. Finally, to the Spearmint Rhino Club, thank you for all the extra campaign donations. We will get your strip club open soon, because that's what Nuri wants, abusive women.
All right. Next speaker, Herman. Yeah. You are on items 3, and 22.
I filled up for items 1, 2, and 3, sir.
3 and 22.
3 and 22. I've been downsized. But based on the $12 million to provide financing for simply and only 59 units, the principal amount not to exceed, well, I recommend we have more monies to provide adequate housing. We cannot sustain ourselves in America. I said we cannot sustain ourselves in America.
Excuse me, if you yell into the mic, you're going to forfeit your time.
Without mixed-use, affordable housing. Mr. Chair, I am not screaming, sir. So, when you rudely interrupt the speaker, I just want you to know that off of 3200 West Temple Street, this situation arises from racism and prejudice because there are more homeless people living today in Los Angeles than ever. Now I go into item 22 because I've been downsized to speak on only specific items in which I signed up as a member on all items, as I do all the time. But the resolution of relative removing of various properties from the rent escrow is this. When you do a goddamn fucking great job, I got nothing bad to say about rent escrow. Not one motherfucking thing to say about rent escrow. And how we adopt resolutions and mediation on behalf of those folks whose habitable conditions are deplorable, disgusting, and shitholes like you allow such defensive unopportunity for those who are under rent control. As you heard from fellow speakers who come here and protest on motion of items to contest why rent escrow and those fucked up landlords in Los Angeles. Now my public comment is this. Thank you, Jimmy Gomez, for being here today to hear the insults about these motherfuckers. Insulting the American people about North Korea and our 45th President Trump. We're gonna blow the fucking hell out of North Korea if they keep threatening America. This is how you make America great. You stand up for the country. You stand up for what we believe in. Defend America at all costs, all expenditures, and all motherfuckers who fuck with America like the North Koreans who threaten us. We're gonna nuke your fucking ass, you fucking ruse. And then going back to the unsanitary CD6, bitch, let me tell you something. We need more sanitized areas to dump our condoms and our fucking tampons, bitches. So fuck your fat butt ass donkey. Eehaw, eehaw.
All right, next speaker, Eric Previn. Eric Previn, you're on items 1. You have one card, item 1 only, so 1 minute and then 1 minute for general public comment.
No, thank you, sir. That's not accurate. The microphone is not on. Thank you. I'll talk about One Eye, which is an unbelievable story. A guy owns a property, and evidently they have put a lien against his property for several $1,000s, and he is innocent, basically. He paid a $167 fine in 1999. It's unbelievable. He's an attorney. You know, I don't know if he could stay or not. I was just really feeling empathy and sympathy for the guy. But most of these liens are in lower income areas. There's Mr. Harris Dawson has several today. I know Ms. Martinez, who's chatting nicely with Blumenfield, has several. It's not cool or appropriate at all. And we have to do something differently. I know that there are lots of ways to get people for money, and you've got some other ones on the agenda, like the preferential parking district, which, as Falba will confirm, a hotly contested issue all over town. CD10, there's one on the agenda today where there was major opposition.
Okay, 1 minute for general public comment.
Well, I'm concerned that today you had a filibuster with all these wonderful presentations, and many people were pushed out of this process. I'm concerned because item 4 is the HHH proposal that had to be rushed through all the committees. There was only a special meeting the other day. Nobody knows what's going on, and we are doing things like using old reuse studies to transfer property without any competitive bidding. You know, everybody agrees that we want to get permanent supportive housing going, but the transparency on that's been terrible. Richard Llewellyn and the mayor have refused to make audio recordings. And the preferential parking district I talk about, in my district, CD2, we have a wide number being proposed now. And the problem is nobody who works in the neighborhood or will be impacted knows about it. Just the little chipmunks in the neighborhood who are signing up to get their $35 cards that allows them to park for a whole year, whereas the rest of us are going to get tagged for $73 by lots of different little conduit characters with little buttons going around collecting where people are parking outside of the permitted hours. So I would say have a nice Martin Luther King Day, but clean up your act. Thank you.
John Walsh, come on up. Item 1 and 22, John. And then you've got general public comment.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. If you've been watching these meetings, you've heard to have nothing but praise for the people who handle broken traffic lights. I'm not one of those people who say you're all a bunch of crooks. You know, let's replace everybody with white people. We know who those people are. I don't belong to that group, but you have done an excellent job on lighting. When a light breaks, the next day everything is back to normal, and you heard people get up here. Although an hour and 15 minutes each meeting begins with nauseating self-congratulations about the staff.
Yeah, you're completely off topic, so you got your 1 minute for general public comment now anyway. Now you can talk about that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm telling you about what's happening here. The mayor is running for president. He's out of town over 100 days last year. And I'm telling you right now that I have several members of the press, not in this city, where all the mayor does is wag his cute little ass at the city council, at the people like David Zanheiser and editor Shelby, and all of a sudden they have a orgasm and then they kill the story. So nothing will ever happen here that will make the mayor look bad. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of other cities, and Glenn Dake is the mayor's gay lover and his husband.
Okay, Mr. Scott on item 1. Mr. Scott? Come on up. Yeah. On item 1. 1I, I believe.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I'm the right person here. Robert Scott Stoffman?
Correct, yes.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, that's what I have it in the system. Okay.
You know, I've seen everybody on TV. I'm not here to give any speeches. I came because I received a lien notice. And I received it in November, maybe October or November, to come to the city attorney's office. And I didn't know what it was about. I had had some minor work done on my house. And the city attorney, the deputy city attorney who I spoke with, he had informed me, no, we sent you 3 notices. And I said, I didn't get anything. And he said, oh, you know, 1 came back. And then I said, well, where did you send them to? And he looked, and he said, 445 South Figueroa. Now, I'm an attorney, And that was my office. And I last practiced it's a Union Bank building. And I don't know why.
So
you have to deal with a lot of stuff here.
No, that's okay. This is, you know what? This is the most important. And when we have what I'll call real constituents coming to speak on real issues or particular issues like this that have affected you, that's why we're here. So with that, the council district is going to go ahead and talk to you on the side of the ropes over here.
Yeah, okay.
And so the sergeant will help you over there, and then we can figure out.
If I could just wrap it up in 30 seconds?
Well, I actually already did, but if you could, come over and talk to them. Okay, and then they'll report back to me and let me know what the disposition is. Okay? You got it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and vote on 1, 3, and 22 with the exception of 1I. We'll hold it on the desk for one moment while they're discussing it, and we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14
Those
ayes.
are approved. Next items, please.
Mr. President, would council like to go into the special meeting, sir?
Yes, that would be the preference. Thank you.
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Herstassen, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson. 14 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Great, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and take the multiple cards. Mr. Walsh and Mr. Herman, if you want to come on up while Mr. Walsh is making his way down, followed by Wayne. Mr. Herman, you don't wish to speak? Come on up. I called you. Come on. I called you. You want to speak?
Order of call.
Start his clock, please.
Start the fucking clock.
Just for the record, there was a substitute item 26, which was circulated and posted quite a while ago.
Okay, thank you.
Now, on 180017 and CD 14, the mayor and the Los Angeles City Planning Commission, otherwise known as PLUM, has violated our constitutional rights in pursuit of California Quality Act without having a negative declaration of a submitted community impact report. Now, what the fucking jargon does that mean? I'll tell you what the fuck that jargon means. It means some stupid fucking asshole doesn't run the clock right. Thank you. So in finding a pursuit in California to adopt the findings, I'm asking and demanding a negative declaration on this report and that you cease and stop at all action in reference to this account. Do you not understand the impact, the adverse impact you're creating adopting accompanying resolution by Central City Community Plan? They're all biased. And you, sir, are prejudiced. And then when I go into the approval of advice and applicant pursuant to LA Municipal Code 12.3, fuck you. I'm referring to the Bain Act. Everyone has a right.
Don't yell into the mic. I've already warned you once. That's your fair and final warning. Don't yell into the mic.
Not to be coarse as to what their demands are when it comes to planning commission reports. Now, you see, I'm not yelling. It's just that the gentleman over there raises the mic. So as I step up to talk about Aaron Mandel, Lamp Lodge, and Lee Consulting Group, why do we have to pay for outside consulting groups? You got a moron attorney right there, the Keebler man, who can't work with Mike Fear's office to determine whether or not we have a negative problem in this action? Yeah, that's the way I like it, nice and fucking quiet. And the physical impact statement by LACPC reports that there is no general fund impact as the administrative fuckhead mayor's costs are recovered through these fees based on independent living. That's just going back to a subject that's not on the matter of what I'm saying. So don't violate the Brown Act. Have transparency under 54950 and 54954.3.c. Fuck all you white niggers too. Fuck you, asshole.
John Walsh, blogging at Hollywood Highlands. Number 27, this is $7 million that we're paying out from the fire department. $7 million for fires that did not happen in LA. And is any of these scumbags up here, you'll pardon the phrase any of you asking, where is the $7 million? I'm over at the county. The county hasn't had to pay $7 million in overtime for, and they've had fires in their jurisdiction. Here, there are no fires in the jurisdiction of the LAFD, and here is $7 million. But you all get up here and get on your hands and knees for every departing head of a department. Okay, and then internal transfer council salaries to sign with current expenditure patterns. This is another $3 million, and they don't have any questions. They're sitting up here with their middle finger up their brown eye, and they're saying absolutely nothing about the $3 million that is being spent on salaries as needed to align with current expenditure patterns. What the hell does that mean? No one gives a shit. And incidentally, what's happening? Where is the LA Times? Because none of the other newspapers will cover anything if it's not in the LA Times. And what we're talking about here on number 28 is current expenditures, transfer of salaries. We need bigger salaries for the staff. And this is another $3 million. No one gives a shit. No one gives a brown shit about what's happening here. And God knows it's not David Zanheiser who's in love with the mayor and his gay lover. And I'm telling you right now, what we need to do now is have you people, you say nothing. You sit up here with your finger up your brown eye and say nothing. Mr. Price is sleeping. He's asleep. Oh, I woke him up. Mr. Bonnet is facing a...
We've wandered off the topic, Mr. President.
Wandered off the topic. You know what happened to the guy who used to sit there?
All right, thank you very
Now
much.
he's off
So
the clock.
next speaker, please. Next speaker, please.
So many good things to talk about on MLK weekend. So we start out a lot of interesting bullshit. Hearings have not been held on a district zone map change in CD14. Mitigation, zone changes, height changes, what does it all mean? Nobody knows what any of this means. It just means that we're going to build more shit. That's all that's important. Build more shit. Just build it. I want to build housing in the middle of the 110 freeway. I want to build housing in the middle of the 101. Let's double deck all the freeways and put housing on all the freeways. Let's go for it. What do you say? I see a couple of people on the council nodding. I didn't think of that. Great idea. You're welcome. Now, affordable housing in Sacramento, they killed my bill. We were going to take and make state rent control, and it lost yesterday. Front page of the LA Times. I tried so hard. I lobbied Assemblymember Matt DeBobney very, very hard in January 2016 for affordable housing for all of California. We lobbied him so hard, we gave him a prostitute and a bathroom stall, and it still didn't work. Our hearts are broken about affordable housing. We need to lobby in better ways. Which brings us to the most important item, number 28. Council salary raises. Yes, they need more money. I've been advocating very hard for this. It's only an extra $3 million. It's nothing. Council staff, what do? They control blackmail. They blackmail constituents. They cut off people's power lines. They cover up for bigamy. They cover up for fraud. They cover up for mail fraud. They delete emails and they destroy hard drives. The essential services of any council member is a good staffer to cover up crime. And if that doesn't work, blackmail the DA, blackmail the FBI, blackmail the Department of Justice. It takes a lot of work. I understand and I sympathize. 20% pay raise for all senior staff on all 15 council districts for a mere $3 million. Let's take a vote. Aye. Any objections? No. Good. And keep up the blackmail and fraud.
All right. Previn? Previn, you still here? No longer here? Okay, we'll note and file your cards. Next one. So that concludes all the public comment cards for the special, so we'll go ahead and take those items up. Now we'll go ahead and take item 23. Okay, we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
It's approved. Next item, please. There's a substitute for 26, so we'll go ahead and vote on the substitution. Go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to send item 24 urgent forthwith.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and open the roll for an urgent forthwith. We haven't voted yet on that, so we'll come back to that in a second. So 24 to 28, and then we'll come back to that one. So we'll go ahead and open the roll on 24 to 28. Close the roll. And tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, and I understand we have a request for all 24, 26, 27, and 28 for urgent forthwith. Do those need to be individual votes then on those? Can we take them together as one urgent forthwith?
Mr. President, you can take that vote in the block, sir.
Okay, so we'll take that as one block. We'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Those are approved. And 25, there was a request to forward that forthwith, so without objection, that'll be the order. Okay, that should conclude the special?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we'll adjourn the special and reconvene the regular meeting. Okay, so the conclusion of 1I is to continue it for 2 weeks until January 26th. So that'll be the order without objection, so we can move on to any other items.
Mr. President, council has general public comment, sir.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go into general public comment. All right, we've got Tony, followed by Haley, Andre, Alex, George, Evangelos. Can all come on up? Okay. Hila, Alexandra, Carly, Natalie, Ilana, Rob, Brian, and Hunt. And so with that, actually, we'll hold off on Mr. Chief for a minute. Go into, or Brian Barajas. So we'll go ahead and start with you all. And I know you're all, I think, together as well. So.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Distinguished City Council members, good morning. I met George and Angela at 15th Round Boxing when I was looking for a place to host the Northeast LAPD boxing program. Since then, I have met young boxers like Andre Marquez, who fought to overcome an addiction to drugs and won that battle due to the hard driving but positive, tough love that he received from George and Angelo. I met 11-year-old Haley Aviles, who is focused on competing and winning at a national championship level. I assumed that I found a boxing gym, but what I discovered is that this is a place where lives are transformed on a daily basis as people develop strength of body and character through their training. My first step in the ring in 2018 starts right here because every fighter needs support and battles cannot be won alone. Muhammad Ali challenged all of us by stating, Don't count the days, but make the days count. That is why I am asking for your support for a program that has consistently counted in transforming young lives.
Thank you.
I invite you to meet the 15th round team today.
Great, thank you very much. And if you could just state your name for the record before you speak.
Hello, my name is Andre Marquez, and thanks to George and Angelos, I'm a boxer out of 15th round. 1 year ago, you would have found me living in my car, living off of drugs, and I decided to start training. And it took Angelo and George a lot of hard work, but thanks to them, they got me off of drugs. Not only did they get me off drugs and they kept me off drugs, they also found me a job that helped me focus more and train in boxing. I also live in my own apartment now. I'm completely self-sufficient. In 2017, I joined a national boxing tournament and I won a silver medal. These are just one of the reasons why George and Angelos are not only my trainers, but I consider them family. And this is why a second gym will not be only crucial to me, but to the young youths of Northeast Los Angeles, because it'll truly inspire them to be who they want to be mentally and physically. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your story and your courage. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Welcome. And if you can, again, please state your name for the record.
Good morning, Council and Mr. President. My name is Haley Aviles, and I am a boxer. I am 11 years old. I go to Celerity Octavia Charter School, and I am earning straight A's, and I received awards from my school for perfect attendance, citizenship, and honor roll. And I will also compete for national championship in Missouri next month. My ultimate goal is to compete in boxing during the Los Angeles Olympic Games in 2028. Before I met George and Angelo at 15th round, I was bullied at school and I was not confident in myself. I went to a regular gym, but I felt lost there with no one who cared about me. All of that changed when I met George and Angelo. I felt that they cared about every aspect of my life: school, diet, training, and exercise. Not only have they trained me to become a boxing champion, but they are my mentors, training me to be successful at achieving all of my goals. 15th round is my home, and George and Angelo are my family. And we are all working hard to find a bigger home for us to train in, and we want to let everyone here know about us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Alex Enriquez. Good morning. I'd like to share with you how boxing saved my life. I met these two gentlemen, George and Angelo Giovannis, at 18 years old, and I was introduced to boxing through them. I came into their gym looking to get into shape, and in time I became a better person through the standards they held me to. On a Friday night, I was called up by friends I used to hang out with who were up to no good. We weren't a gang, but we ran as a crew, fighting, tagging, doing drugs. When they called me, they said there was a party we were all going to, thinking about how I had joined boxing and the new life I was starting to live through it. I knew I had a decision to make, and I decided not to go. Later that next morning, I woke up to a text reading all four of my friends were shot the night before. It was an eye-opener on how one decision could have changed my life, and that boxing was a factor that came into my decision-making. I am now a dedicated professional, and undefeated pro boxer. Without this gym, I wouldn't be where I am today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, council members. Hi, Mitch, Gil. I usually get a minute to tell my fighters how to go into the ring and accomplish their goals. This got me a little cracked up, so I just need help to continue to do what I do. And I don't know how to bridge that gap between helping people and just, you know, I don't know how to do what you guys do. So we're going to do a little party on the 25th. You're all invited. If you need details, just ask the guys. And I'm not good at this stuff, but if you want to know how to punch, I can teach you that, you know. So that's all I got. That's why I didn't prepare a speech, because I knew I wouldn't deliver it. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
And we didn't get the last gentleman who spoke. You didn't get his name.
George Giovannis.
That's what I thought. And George, you're doing more than most, quite frankly. So anyway, next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Evangelos Giovannis. I'll tell you, Mike Tyson simply said, "Champions don't quit." My brother George and I can stand in front of you and talk about how champions don't quit at the 15th round boxing gym. We can talk about our undefeated professional and amateur boxers currently climbing the world rankings, their trophies, their belts, because we do love them. But today I'd rather talk to you about our other clients, the ones who quit, the ones who still come through our doors daily to fight obesity, diabetes, and heart disease because they quit being lazy. The ones who have quit feeling sorry for themselves and have lost 80 or 100 pounds. The ones who came in anorexic and quit that steady diet of illegal drugs to gain 10 or 15 pounds of healthy muscle and finally feel beautiful. We'd like to talk to you about the numerous teens that quit gangs at our boxing gym, the kids that quit drinking soda and started eating organic fruits. We'd like to talk to you about the accomplished heart surgeons, the struggling actors, the creative architects, the hospitable waiters, and the Uber drivers that suddenly love boxing. The ones that swear boxing saved their failing marriages, or the ones who met their soulmates at our gym and will get married soon. Yes, these are our champions, and they have inspired us more than a Rocky film we watch on TV. We ask that you please champion our cause and participate and help us in our market expansion of the 15th round boxing gyms, because champions do not quit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you all. Do we have additional speakers? No? Okay. Well, you know, typically, first of all, you sat through a lot just to get here today, and not to mention your road just to even make it here, from having an 11-year-old champion right here, which is just remarkable, wants to participate in the 28 Olympics, to somebody who was living in their car and homeless. It's an incredible story, and I say keep fighting the good fight, and you guys have been doing a phenomenal job, and I know I speak for everybody. We can't speak to items that are not on the agenda, and rarely will even comment on a public comment, but that was extraordinary, and we all, I know, want to give you a round of applause as well. So if we could all join and give them a round of applause for, or I should say, a 15th round, right? So thank you all for having the courage to be here and continue what you're doing. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Council.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Alexandra Wayman. I live in the Greater Wilshire neighborhood, and I'm here today to urge Council to pass fair regulations on short-term rentals like Airbnb. Like many renters, I'm paying more than half of my monthly income on my rent because there's a severe housing shortage, and with Airbnb taking up a lot of available units, rents are becoming sky high. I've seen whole apartment buildings that were once available to long-term tenants converted into illegal hotels that cater to out-of-town guests. At my complex, I'm constantly seeing people come in and out with suitcases, and I can't help but wonder if there are short-term rentals that are in my building. With homelessness on the rise, it's more important than ever to protect affordable housing, and we really encourage you to pass short-term rental ordinance as soon as possible to prevent further loss of housing for Angelenos. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Hi there, my name is Carly Kirchin. I live in Highland Park. I'm here with my union, Unite Here Local 11, as well. And I'd also like to urge the council to pass the short-term rentals ordinance as soon as possible. Our union members make living wages and have access to affordable health insurance through their jobs in the hospitality industry. They should rest squarely in the middle class. However, many members struggle to find or keep housing. They face gentrification, displacement, and raising rents in their neighborhoods. And this is all fueled by illegal short-term rentals. One such member, Monique, spoke to Councilmember Harris Dawson a few months ago about her struggle to find housing. Monique is a housekeeper at the Courtyard Marriott and lifelong South LA resident who was forced to live in a weekly rate hotel after her housing fell through. Under this setup, she had to go without dinner many nights because she did not have access to a kitchen, and she was also unable to live with her 15-year-old son. Please help our members like Monique and pass the short-term rentals ordinance ASAP to curb unaffordable housing in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi there. My name is Natalie Schumann, and I live in Silver Lake. I'm here today as well to urge Council to pass fair regulations on short-term rentals like Airbnb. We have lost over 4,000 rental units to short-term rentals in LA. Renters like myself can feel this loss as rents increase and demands for housing becomes, and housing becomes scarce. I have seen whole apartment buildings that were once available to long-term tenants converted into illegal hotels that cater to out-of-town guests. Since moving to LA 6 months ago, I have not been able to find a permanent housing situation. Rent is so high that I've had to move from place to place looking for somewhere I can afford. Airbnb has greatly contributed to this affordability crisis. With homelessness on the rise, it is more important than ever to protect our available housing supply. Please pass short-term rentals ordinance as soon as possible to prevent further loss of housing for Angelenos. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name's Rob Pitt. I represent AAA Flag and Banner. You know, we're an icon here in Los Angeles. We started with the 84 Olympics, dressed up the city for the 84 Olympics, helped write the city pole banner program, going to be here for the next Olympics. And you've got an ordinance for preferential parking in the Helms District. And we believe that has gone through in an improper way. And so I've got some documents from our attorney that I'd like to have on the record so we can help figure out a way to get through this as a good neighbor and as a good business citizen in Los Angeles. You know, we employ over 180 people at AAA. We do manufacturing in the city of Los Angeles. We're residents and neighbors, and we need your help. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Al Farmer, and I'm a CD13 resident. I live in the portion of CD13 that is a little bit on Koreatown. So I am urging the Council to pass the short-term rental resolution ordinance as soon as possible. There is a housing crisis. We are all super aware of that. We've lost thousands of affordable units in Los Angeles in the last few years directly due to conversions into short-term rentals. At my own building, several times a week now, people are coming up to me, getting it confused with a building down the street that has been converted into an illegal hotel. Every other day or every 3 days, I'll have someone with a number of suitcases or big bags get out of a cab or an Uber and try to get into my building and then be very confused. And there's a house that's being used as a hostel down the street, obviously an illegal hotel. This short-term rental ordinance is very important. That's housing stock being taken off the market that my neighbors could use. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Yelena Zelter, and I live in the western edge of Koreatown in CD10. I'm a renter and I'm a member of Unite Here Local 11. Renters like myself can feel this loss of rent, as rents increase with demand for housing and available units become scarce. In my neighborhood, buildings are constantly being flipped, and long-term tenants are leaving. I constantly live in fear and stress of losing my housing should my landlord choose to change uses and convert it into short-term rental property. You're our leaders, and we need you to take action on regulating short-term rentals in LA. I've been an affordable housing advocate for the last 10 years, and we had a housing crisis 10 years ago, and it's not gotten better. And renters in the city are bearing the brunt of your inaction on this issue. Please pass the short-term rental ordinance as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
I turned in a leaflet, LaRouche Pack. You wouldn't believe what just happened in the world. This document, it presents to you that the North Korean, or shall I say South Korean, soon the North Korean, Moon Jae-in thanked the President of the United States, Trump, for arranging a peace agreement between the South and the North. 2, on the question of President Trump signing into, I suppose, proclamation, the National Historic Park, or a National Historic Park for Martin Luther King Jr. in Georgia, expanding the boundaries, including Prince Hall Masonic Temple, where Dr. King headquartered his establishment of Southern Christian Leadership Conference. So, and the point that Trump made of the treasonous act of people in the FBI against performing a coup against him, we're dealing with Nazism, and we love the president.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hunt, welcome.
The Red Chief Hunt for the record. Injustice is no justice at all. I'm a 9th Circuit winner. I had 9 federal judges rule in my favor, and my birthday's October 9th. Triple nines. The case that's coming before you in the next week or two, Susan Siegel just ruled in my favor 4 valid claims against the city of Los Angeles. I encourage you guys to settle out. I'm very good. Susan Siegel's a very good magistrate, acting judge sometime, but it's really serious. These ropes and stuff got to come down. I'm really going to be on the First Amendment. I'm really going to take on City Hall this year. So be aware. Like I said, 9 federal judges ruled in my favor. I'm a 9th Circuit winner. My birthday is October 9th. Susan Siegel just got through ruling in my favor on 4 against the police commission. Be careful what you do down here. The Red Chief hunt.
All right, thank you. Harold, still here? Harold's gone. We'll go ahead and file your card. That concludes all the general public comment card. That includes the council agenda. We have motions for posting and referral. We'll go ahead and post and refer those. Councils, do we have any announcements? Seeing none. Do we have any adjourning motions? Looking to my left. Seeing none. We've got one on the right. Yes. We can get everybody to please rise. We have 2. Please rise. If we can get all the folks in chambers to please rise.
Mr. President?
Yes.
This is an announcement, not
an announcement. I'm sorry. Okay, well, we'll rise for your announcement because I'm sure it's very important.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you very
Excuse
much.
me for 1 second. Herman, Wayne, you're both saying a lot, so more sounds and you're out. Okay? In fact, why don't you guys just leave now if we're going to go to adjourning motions, okay? If you can't restrain yourself. Okay, Ms. Martinez.
No, thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I want to thank you, all of you who sent your pictures yesterday when we went blue on behalf of Human Trafficking Awareness Day. Thank you so much for posting your pictures, sending them to my office. We have an entire month of, unfortunately, making folks aware in our city that human trafficking is not to be tolerated anywhere in our neighborhoods, our city, or in our country. But I rise to remind you that we've launched our Toiletry Drive for Human Trafficking Survivors. And we've started it yesterday. It's going to run through this month. The last day will be February 9th. You can drop off your toiletries in my office, on the first floor, on the 3rd floor of this building, or any of my 2 district offices in Van Nuys and Sun Valley. And again, we are in desperate need of shampoo, hairspray, feminine hygiene products that are very expensive, shampoo, lotion, anything you can think of. If you can't get to your nearest Save On or Target, I'm happy to take gift cards. Someone said to me yesterday, one of our human trafficking survivors that I work with said, "You have no idea how empowering it is to get a gift card and to finally go shopping on your own and walk into a Target and buy things that you desperately need because there are not things that were being provided for me as I was being trafficked through this country." So that's very empowering. So if you can't send folks to go get the toiletries, we're happy to take your money because I'm happy to pick up a check as well. A gift card, and the 2 organizations that we're going to be helping out with our toiletry will be Journey Out, which is located in the Valley, and Saving Innocence, which is located in Hollywood. Mr. Harrison, did you have a question?
No. I had an announcement. After you.
I thought you had a question of me. Okay, that's
We have
it.
donations.
Thank you very much.
And I want to thank you for taking all of the, there's no applause, guys. I want to thank you for taking all the photos that everybody submitted and making a video out of it. One thing, it was cool that our LAPD participated and sent a picture of them in blue, except they wear that every day. But no, it was still cool that they, I'd say, anyway, but I thought it was great, and the video was great. And,
Thank you for posting your picture.
And most
Appreciate you
importantly, thanks
participating.
for promoting and putting a face on such a tragedy and turning it around. We all are just in awe of what you've been able to do with it. So,
thank you.
Yes, Mr.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and colleagues. I want to wish everybody a happy Martin Luther King Day. Invite everybody to Martin Luther King Boulevard on Monday morning for the Los Angeles Kingdom Day Parade, the largest MLK celebration west of the Mississippi. And in the afternoon in Leimert Park, we'll have Freedom Festival, and the theme this year is Silence Will Not Save Us. And so we'll have immigrant rights groups there, we'll have civil rights groups there, and human rights groups there, trying to get folks involved in preserving and building on the dream that is the United States of America. Thank you all.
Thank you. Seeing no other announcements, we have an adjourning motion. Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. I ask that we adjourn in the memory of Barry Craig Swerdlick. He passed away December 20th, 2017 at the young age of 57. He was born in March 25th, 1960, was the son of Howard and Gail Swerdlick. I've had the pleasure of knowing Howard through his involvement in Wings Over Wendy's, a group of veterans that meets every week in my district and in Mitch's district. Barry died from leukemia at his father's home in West Hills. Despite his fight with cancer, he always had a smile and a bright outlook on life, helping those around him. He's survived by his father, Howard, and his brothers, Paul, Bruce, as well. May he rest in peace.
Thank you. And we have any other adjourning motions? Seeing none, that concludes this meeting. We are adjourned. Be safe.